Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira, and other headlines. Indian Army decimates Pakistan Army post in the Nowshera sector of Jammu and Kashmir, calls the attack a counter-terrorism strategy to prevent terrorist infiltration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 52nd annual general meeting of the African Development Bank in Gandhinagar, pitches for an Asia-Africa growth corridor for the development of Africa. Days after Beijing hosts the One Belt, One Road Forum, European Union countries voice concerns over China's ambitious project. Germany calls it a Sino-centric endeavor that has no meeting point with EU. And death toll in Manchester Arena, terror attack rises to 22, 59 people injured in suspected suicide attack at a concert by US pop singer Ariana Grande. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday pitched for an Asia-Africa growth corridor for development of Africa. He claimed that the initiative would be supported by Japan and India. He also claimed that since coming to power in 2014, his government has made Africa their top priority. Here are more details from the African Development Bank conclave.
Inaugurating the 52nd annual general meeting of the African Development Bank in Gandhinagar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitched for the Asia-Africa growth corridor for the development of Africa, which will be supported by Japan and India. The pitch comes close on the heels of China launching its ambitious One Belt, One Road initiative, which aims to connect the Eurasian landmass and the Indo-Pacific maritime routes.
India is also working with United States and Japan to support development in Africa. I gladly recall during my visit to Tokyo, Japan, we discussed our commitment for enhancing growth prospects for all. In our joint declaration, we mention an Asia-Africa growth corridor and propose further conversations with our brothers and sisters from Africa.
Recalling the centuries-old association of India with Africa, especially between trading communities in Gujarat, Modi said that trade between both countries has multiplied in the last 15 years and reached close to $72 billion in 2014-15.
In 2014, I have made Africa a top priority for India's foreign and economic policy. India is proud of its educational and technical ties with Africa. India's commodity trade with Africa in 2015-16 was higher than our commodity trade with the United States of America.
Listing the government's achievements ahead of the third anniversary of coming to power, Prime Minister Modi said that India has improved upon all macroeconomic indicators over the last 3 years. He also said that India would be honored to share some of the strategies adopted with Africa.
In the last 3 years, improved on all macroeconomic indicators. The fiscal deficit, balance of payments deficit, and inflation are down. The GDP growth rate, foreign exchange reserves, and public capital investments are up.
The Prime Minister informed the gathering of close to 3,000 African delegates that India is the 5th largest investor in Africa and has invested $54 billion in the last 20 years. He also assured of India's continued support in achieving growth in areas like agriculture, infrastructure, power and industry. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Indian Army on Tuesday revealed that it decimated a Pakistani army post in the Nowshera sector of Jammu and Kashmir. The army asserted that the attack is part of a counter-terrorism strategy to prevent the infiltration of terrorists supported by the Pakistan army. The army also released a video showing punitive artillery assault on a Pakistani army post. The video showed what looked like a forested area being bombed. However, there was no mention of the time and date of the strike, and the Pakistani army has dismissed India's claims.
As part of our counter-terrorism strategy and to ensure that infiltration is curbed, an initiative remains with us. Indian Army proactively dominates line of control. While doing so, locations aiding infiltration of terrorists are being targeted and destroyed to deny advantage to terrorists, thus curbing infiltration attempts.
तो हमारे लिए गौरवमय बात है। भारतीय सेना विश्व की सर्वश्रेष्ठ सेनाओं में से एक है। हम सेना के सदा ऋणी रहेंगे और जिस प्रकार इस मेजर ने अपनी सूझबूझ, अपनी प्रतिबद्धता, अपनी योग्यता का परिचय दिया है, वो सम्मान योग था और पूरे राष्ट्र ने अपना ऋण और अपना गौरव उसके प्रति जाहिर करने का काम किया।
Infiltration increases from Pakistan as Indian Army has admitted. What is our government doing? Our army is making supreme sacrifices. They are acting with valor. But where is Modi government? There are terrorist camps in Pakistan, occupied Kashmir. Terrorists are being pushed every day. Where is the international pressure?
Meanwhile, in another incident, clashes erupted in Pulwama town in South Kashmir after students staged massive protests against the arrests of their schoolmates. A motorcycle of a policeman was also torched during the clashes. Well, Pakistan has reportedly asked the International Court of Justice for an early hearing in Indian National Kulbhushan Jadhav case. According to a report by Express Tribune, Pakistan Foreign Office has written to the ICJ's registrar expressing the desire for a quick hearing, preferably over the next few weeks. The report said that the request was made in view of the upcoming elections for ICJ judges. The Pakistani request comes just days after the ICJ stayed Jadhav's execution and endorsed the Indian request for consular access to him. Pakistan had last Friday filed a plea in the ICJ to rehear within 6 weeks Jadhav's case. On May 8th, India moved the ICJ against the death penalty handed down to Jadhav by a Pakistani military court. In other news now, the Congress has won one seat and the Aam Aadmi Party another in the recently held by-elections to 2 municipal wards in Delhi. The Congress candidate Mukesh Goel won the by-poll to Sarai People ward in North Delhi Municipal Corporation, while AAP candidate Reshma won the by-poll from Maujpur seat of East Delhi Municipal Corporation. Goel, who was the leader of the opposition in the NDMC House, defeated the BJP's Mangat Ram Sharma by a margin of 2,743 votes. The Congress leader polled 10,946 votes. AAP candidate Reshma defeated the Congress's Rekha Sharma by a margin of 699 votes. Delhi has a total of 272 wards spread across North, South and East Delhi municipal corporations. While the BJP swept the MCD polls last month, polling in these 2 wards was postponed due to the death of candidates ahead of the polls. Well, the RBI has decided to reconstitute the Oversight Committee with more members after the government armed it with additional powers to resolve bad loans with banks. The bad loans have crossed 8 lakh crore rupees. Outlining the action plan to implement the Banking Regulation Amendment Ordinance 2017, the RBI said credit rating agencies will be given greater role in dealing with large amount of stressed assets in banks. The ordinance promulgated earlier this month authorizes the RBI to issue directions to any banking company or banking companies to initiate insolvency resolution process. It has also empowered the RBI to issue directions to banks for resolution of stressed assets. The RBI has said that it will reconstitute the Oversight Committee under its and include more members so that requisite number of benches could be created to deal with increasing volume of cases. Well, here's a look now at what else is making news across the country and nationwide. The The Enforcement Directorate today arrested a chartered accountant allegedly linked to RJD chief Lalu Prasad Yadav's daughter Meesa Bharati in an 8,000 crore rupees money laundering case. Rajesh Agarwal was arrested under provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act and will be produced in court. Former RJD MP Prabhunath Singh and his two brothers Deenanath Singh and Ritesh Singh were today sentenced to life imprisonment in connection with the 1995 Ashok Singh murder case. The additional district judge pronounced the judgment via video conferencing at Hazaribagh jail, where all three were lodged since last Thursday when the court found them guilty. The Delhi High Court today sought the response of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on a fresh 10 crore rupees defamation case filed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley over the use of an objectionable word by his lawyer Ram Jethmalani. Joint Registrar Pankaj Gupta issued the notice to Kejriwal asking him to respond to why the defamation proceedings against him should not be initiated. The next hearing is on 26th July. Industrialist Naveen Jindal has been summoned as an accused by a Delhi court in connection with the coal scam case. The court has also issued summons to 3 more persons and the Jindal Steel and Bar Limited Company for alleged cheating and criminal conspiracy in the allocation of Urtan North Coal Block in Madhya Pradesh. All the accused have been asked to appear on the 4th of September. Well, the steel sector is witnessing a surge in exports that saw a massive 142% in April over the corresponding month in 2016. The uptick came in the wake of steps of measures taken by the government to safeguard the domestic steel industry.
Good news for the steel sector. Exports are consistently surpassing imports. In April 2017, India shipped out 0.747 million tons compared to 0.308 million tons in the same month last year. Imports of finished steel in the same month dipped 23% to 0.504 million tons compared to the corresponding month a year ago.
देखिए पिछले 3 वर्षों में कुछ समय तो स्टील उद्योग संकट में था, लेकिन पिछले महीने काफ़ी एक्सपोर्ट में प्रतिशत में वृद्धि हुई है 142% के आसपास। और इसके पीछे कारण यह है कि एक तो हम लोग प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा रहे हैं अपने देश में और गुणवत्ता पर काफ़ी ध्यान दे रहे हैं ताकि मतलब ग्लोबली हम लोग कम्पीट कर पाएँ, उस पर विशेष ध्यान दे रहे हैं। और काफ़ी प्रयास रहा MIP लगाए, उससे इंपोर्ट कम हुआ और एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ा और फिर डंपिंग पर भी हम लोगों ने ध्यान दिया। ये सब के कारण और जो अपना सेकेंडरी स्टील सेक्टर है उन पर भी जोर दिया।
It's welcome news for the sector that's been hurt by an unprecedented influx of imports from countries like China, Japan and South Korea. But challenges for the steel sector are plenty. Nearly 37% investment of 3.13 lakh crore rupees provided to the sector has turned non-performing. That's close to 19% of the total non-performing assets in the banking sector. Even Maharatna SAIL suffered losses of 4,137 crore rupees in the last financial year. The government has ambitious plans to triple current production capacity of about 122 million tons by 2030-31. This works out to an annual growth of about 7% over the next 14 years. For this, the government has started modernizing and expanding its integrated steel plants in Bhilai, Bokaro and Rourkela. Till date, over the last 8 to 10 years, around 62,000 crore rupees has been spent on expanding and modernizing SAIL.
India is third largest producer of steel in the world. The steel industry accounts for 2% of India's GDP. However, this industry has a very high debt exposure, a problem the government urgently needs to fix. Reporting from Bokaro, with camera person Shiv Kumar, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
People from your party are going and joining BJP. What is stopping the party from arresting this kind of a trend?
It's not as if the whole party has gone to them.
Ramchand Guha, after UP elections or a little later, had said that Rahul Gandhi is almost like a serial failure.
I don't think you can put the blame of the recent failures of the Congress party at the doorstep of an individual.
Who will be the credible alternative for Modi?
Time will tell. There's nothing called a vacuum in politics.
Watch To The Point with senior Congress leader and Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, India and Germany will focus on a common strategy to find an alternative to the OBOR initiative led by China. While both countries are already working on cooperation in all international fora, Germany feels that OBOR is China-centric and not worth joining. Germany will also put before India the prospect that the free trade agreement to increase cooperation between EU and India.
Just days after China's One Belt, One Road Forum in Beijing, several EU countries, including Germany, have voiced concerns over Xi Jinping's ambitious project. Germany on Tuesday said that OBOR is a Sino-centric project and it sees no meeting point between EU and China.
OBOR is a top-down government approach for a Sino-centered trading system. It's not a free trade agreement. It's a trading enhancing system. That's an initiative of one country. The European countries have participated, but have not signed up to the trade declaration of OBOR. They had their hesitations to do so.
It's a statement that's sure to go down well with India, who had boycotted the event, saying that the OBOR initiative infringes on its sovereignty. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Berlin by the end of this month for a bilateral summit, and this will be one of the major issues of dialogue between the two leaders. The German ambassador also said that free trade agreement between EU and India will be a challenge to China in the long run.
We stand side by side with India in fighting terrorism. We have, of course, what the German intelligence says I cannot reveal to you. But yes, we do share intelligence with the Indian government as we do within Europe. We and our ministers of interior devise strategies how to combat terrorism.
The other concern between both countries is terrorism, and both leaders will be discussing cross-border terrorism and perhaps Pakistan's role too. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the death toll in the Manchester Arena terror attack rose to 22 on Tuesday, while 59 people have been injured. Police confirmed that the attacker died in the attack that took place right after a concert by Ariana Grande. British Prime Minister Theresa May has condemned the incident, calling it a callous terrorist attack. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the explosion.
An explosion at a concert in Manchester Arena has left dozens dead and nearly 60 injured on Monday night. The explosion took place when thousands of fans, mostly children, were exiting the area after watching pop singer Ariana Grande's concert. As the first arrest was made in connection with the attack, Prime Minister Theresa May disclosed that the authorities think they know who carried out the atrocity and confirmed they are working to establish if he was acting as part of a terror group.
This attack stands out for its appalling, sickening cowardice, deliberately targeting innocent, defenseless children and young people who should have been enjoying one of the most memorable nights of their lives. The police and security services believe they know the identity of the perpetrator, but at this stage of their investigations, we cannot confirm his name.
The police too have confirmed that a 23-year-old man from Manchester has been arrested and they are treating the blast as a terrorist incident.
We have been treating this as a terrorist incident, and we believe at this stage the attack last night was conducted by one man. The priority is to establish whether he was acting alone or as part of a network. The attacker, I can confirm, died at the arena. We believe the attacker was carrying an improvised explosive device which he detonated, causing this atrocity.
As the probe continues late into the night, witnesses continue sharing their stories with the media. Many recounted the panic, chaos and confusion that took place right after the explosion. Ambulances and bomb disposal teams were rushed to the venue soon after. Manchester's Victoria Station has been closed since the blast and all trains remain cancelled too.
I don't know, it didn't sound loud enough to be what it is suspected to be. And then we made it out and everybody was going all directions. So we thought, well, we're not going to run with all them in case it is a shooter, because would that not be where they go? So we hid under a bridge.
We decided to go out and we ran, and people were screaming around us and pushing down the stairs to go outside, and people were falling down, girls were crying, and we saw these women being treated by paramedics. They had like open wounds on the legs, no shoes. It was just chaos.
While several world leaders have condemned the attack, Britain's political parties have agreed to suspend election campaigning until further notice. Monday's attack was the deadliest in Britain since July 2005, when 52 people were killed in suicide bombings on London's transport system. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In more international news now, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani on Monday said that Iran doesn't need permission of the United States to conduct missile tests and will continue to do so. Rouhani made the remarks during his first press conference after winning re-election in a landslide victory on Saturday. He also downplayed a multi-billion arms deal signed over the weekend between the United States and Saudi Arabia. His reaction came following fierce criticism from the US President Donald Trump during his visits to Saudi Arabia and Israel.
موشک ما برای صلح، موشک ما برای تهاجم نیست، موشک ما برای دفاعه. مقامات آمریکایی بدونند هر زمانی که از لحاظ فنی ما نیاز به تست موشک داشته باشیم تست خواهیم کرد. منتظر اونها و اجازه اونها نخواهیم ماند.
Well, South Korea's former president Park Younghee appeared at a Seoul Central District Court on Tuesday to face a trial over a corruption scandal. If convicted, Park could face a prison term ranging from 10 years to life imprisonment. The former president was impeached and removed from office in March following mass protests. After losing presidential immunity, Park faces 18 charges, including bribery, abusing state power, and leaking state secrets. She is also accused of letting her longtime friend Choi Soon-sil handle a wide range of state affairs. The scandal has led to the arrests of dozens of people, including Samsung heir Lee Jae-yong, who is accused of bribing Park and her friend in exchange for business favors. Park has denied all charges, insisting that she is being framed. Tuesday was her first court appearance since her detention in March. Well, here's a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. US President Donald Trump arrived in Bethlehem on Tuesday on the second day of his official visit to Israel and the Palestinian territories. Trump held talks with Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas to restart peace talks in the region. Trump, who met Israeli leaders on Monday, has pledged to do whatever is necessary to broker peace between Israel and the Palestinians. Japan agreed to increase cooperation on military operations with the US and South Korea in dealing with the threat from North Korea's nuclear and missile program. Japan also underscored the agreement between Japan and South Korea on sharing sensitive information about North Korea's missile and nuclear activities. Bangladesh is all set to impose its own carbon tax on fuel from June, although the country produces relatively less per capita emissions. Bangladesh said that the new tax may not make any significant contribution in achieving the Paris Agreement's goal of keeping average global temperatures increasing from below 2 degrees Celsius, but will impact pollution. The Eurogroup president said that they failed to reach an initial agreement over further bailout funds for Greece. Eurozone finance ministers, IMF and Greek representatives had a meeting over Greece's debt but didn't reach a final agreement. The next meeting of the Eurogroup will be on June 15. 11 Afghan soldiers were killed and 9 others injured on Monday in a militant attack on an army base in Shahwali Kot district of Afghanistan. The assault late on Monday came just a day after 20 Afghan policemen were killed when Taliban fighters stormed their outposts in the neighboring province of Zabul. Let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some news from the world of sports and Sports Beat. Yuki Bambri and Ramkumar Ramanathan bowed out of the French Open qualifiers. Yuki lost the first round match to Canada's 25th seeded Peter Polansky 6-7, 6-7, while Ramkumar lost to Argentina's Guido Pella 2-6, 1-6 in a one-sided first round encounter. The defeats mean that once again no Indian will compete in the singles event of a Grand Slam event. Spanish police arrested former Barcelona Football Club president Sandro Rosell over money laundering charges. Police raided 9 offices and homes in the northeastern region of Catalonia, and the arrests were part of an investigation into audiovisual rights sales. American former MotoGP champion Nicky Hayden died of severe brain damage 5 days after he was hit by a car while cycling in eastern Italy. Hayden, who rode for the Red Bull Honda team, was taken to Cesana's Maurizio Buffoni Hospital after being hit by a car while training on his bicycle. Hayden last raced in the Moto Grand Prix Championship in Spain in September 2016 for the privately run Mark VDS Honda team. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.